I'm here with John Ratzenberger from...
Well, I've got to take this call. No, this is actually the microphone thing. Go ahead.
Make
Go
sure
ahead.
you get that. From, let's see, one of my favorite shows, Made in America, which is no longer being produced, right?
Right, yeah. There's so many copycat shows came on. But also what I wanted to do with the show is I wanted to go home, like to go through a factory, see how things are made, and introduce us to one of the workers and then actually follow them into their lives. And so I think I might be doing that with another network later.
That's very interesting. Also Cheers and Pixar fame.
Cheers, I was on that show.
Yeah.
I played the mailman.
We don't want to talk to you about Cheers. I want to talk to you a little bit about your your Nuts, Bolts, and Thingamajigs Foundation.
The foundation,
and
yes.
What that is. Yeah.
Well, when I was doing the show Made in America, well, actually, let me preface it by going back a little further. I grew up in a factory town. So part of my DNA, my structure, is understanding the importance of someone's ability to put a nut and a bolt together and how it relates to civilization. Because none of us, no matter how many degrees and doctorates and masters we have, we can't do any of that unless there's somebody who can put a nut and a bolt together. For instance, how many bridges do you cross when you drive to work? 3, 6, 5. Well, at some point, that's got to be repaired or rebuilt, and we're running out of those people. So if we run out of those people, the average age of a factory worker or a skilled worker, a welder, carpenter, electrician, down bricklayer, drywall installer, a glazer who puts the windows in, or even makes the windows, is 56 years old.
No kidding.
6 to 10 years from now, kaput. So what happened was in the last 20 years, well, even more than that, everyone's got to go to college. Every kid's got to go to college. Well, there's a lot of kids that maybe didn't want to go to college, but everybody got forced into college, and they canceled the vocational training in schools because somehow it was better for the schools to get everybody into college. Then that meant the high school was a success. And they feel that if the kid goes and works in a factory or gets a job as a lathe operator or a drill press or a fabricator in a metal shop, that somehow they're a failure. And the reality is, it's clean work. It's work that, if you go 4 years to college and somebody else goes 4 years into a trade school or a trade, the end of those 4 years, people went to college are going to be waiting tables, paying back their college loan, by and large.
Yeah, well, liberal arts kind of a degree. I agree with you, yeah.
And then, but the person who went to that trade school probably owned their own, at least condo, or if they're fixing cars, everybody went to college is going to have to take their car to somebody, and you're going to be paying that guy to fix your car. I mean, that's the reality. So nothing else in the world, in society, in our lives happens unless somebody has the ability to fabricate something. That camera, that's every single thing you see on every piece, that tripod, the bottoms of the tripod, the nuts and the bolts, someone has to make that, and we're running out of those people.
Now, I know on your website you talk a lot about tinkering and how why you feel that's important. Could you talk a little bit?
Well, we used to call it play.
Yeah.
And what actually we were doing, we were learning. We were learning the principles of math, physics, calculus by climbing a tree and building a treehouse without knowing it, because it was spatial, because it was angles. It was, physics in that, if you put the nail too close to the edge, you're going to, crack the wood, so you got to be in the middle. So you learn those things, and it becomes part of you. You don't know that you're learning. You think you're playing. And every single industry, and there's no exception to this, started out with one person inventing one thing. Every single one of those inventors started out as a child, tinkering, playing with something, figuring something out, pulling something apart, old washing machine box, making something, playing outside, digging in the dirt. That's how it all started. Nobody started, like at senior year of high school or college, saying, hey, I'm going to invent something. It doesn't happen that way. If you're doing video games, that's basically that's your life. But we need people that can put French fries into, containers, and but that's where you're going if you're doing this as a kid, pretty much.
Yeah.
But to have a skill. I mean, how many college graduates can change the tire in a car?
You're right. Probably not too many.
Not too many.
Yeah.
And there was a time where not only could they change the tire in the car, but they could fix the car and do at least minor repairs. So that's the change that's happened in society.
That's interesting. And cars used to be probably a big part of that tinkering, huh? It's kind of hard to tinker with a modern automobile.
No, you can still change the tires or
change the oil, stuff like that.
Change the oil, yeah. Just have a hands-on, or even simple carpentry. Fix a door, hang a door. How to put a hinge on. Kitchen cabinets that are stuck. It's not that difficult. But also, once you do it, there's a pride in doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I did that. I fixed that.
And it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So now, a little bit more about your foundation.
Well, the foundation is what we do is we sponsor camps for kids to give them a taste of what it's like to, let's say, work with metal, to fabricate, to punch some holes in it, to bend it, to shape it, to weld it. And at the end of the week, there's some really excited kids that they go, wow, I didn't know I could do that. And so then we'll provide them either with scholarships to go ahead and continue that education.
Now, you provide a lot of scholarships to community colleges, right? I mean, I know, again, looking at your website, I see community colleges specifically mentioned.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Right.
Now, how old are these kids that go through these?
Well,
these
it's good, community college age. In California, we're working with foster kids, just about, closing in on the 18-year-old mark. Kids, and I try to concentrate, and I want to start doing more younger kids to get to the joys of tinkering. But the real problem is the parents, because they have this idea that if you don't go to a 4-year college and get a degree in sports management, that somehow you're a failure. And if one of their other kids wants to be a bricklayer, they think, and I've had this conversation. One says, well, the neighbors will think he's stupid. I said, what? Yeah. For making a fortune and thriving and being happy at creating and laying brick. I mean, that was Winston Churchill's hobby.
I didn't know that.
At the end of the day, yeah, that's what he did to relax. He just made things out of brick. He laid brick. So that was his release. And there's a joy. And I was a carpenter before I became an actor.
No kidding, yeah.
I was a house frame, journeyman carpenter, yeah. Yeah. And so both my kids now know how to identify and use everything in a toolbox, because it's important, I think.
That's great. Now, we work with a lot of community colleges around the country, and a lot of high schools are associated with these community colleges. Let's say a teacher or a faculty person at a college wants to find out more information. How can they learn more about your foundation?
Tell them to give me $5.
$5? That's all?
Very much. Yeah. Well, go to nutsandboltsfoundation.org.
Nutsandboltsfoundation.org. Okay. And let's say a manufacturer, a business is interested, they can go to the same place and find out how to work a little closer with you. And the same with a student, right? A student can go to the same place. You've got a pretty nice website set up.
Sure, sure. Nutsandboltsfoundation.org. I believe that's right. Or they can call you.
Yeah, they can call me. Okay.
Yeah, and you can call Heather.
All right. All right. That sounds good. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.